In the decades following World War II, American influence remained deeply embedded in Philippine society. Even by the 1960s, the presence of American culture, language, and military legacy was still visible, especially in provincial towns and areas near former U.S. bases. One curious practice emerged during this period: the greeting, "Hi, Joe," shouted at any white person passing by. Whether the individual was American or not, the assumption was automatic. He was Joe. The greeting became a playful, almost reflexive way for Filipino children and adults alike to acknowledge foreign presence. While this habit has largely faded in urbanized areas of the Philippines, it continues in more rural communities and places with historical ties to American military installations. There, the sight of a Caucasian still triggers the old instinct. "Hi, Joe." The origin of the term Joe is often traced back to the liberation period during World War II. As American troops returned to reclaim the Philippines from Japanese occupation, they brought with them not just weapons and supplies, but also cultural symbols. One of these was the name G.I. Joe. Although many associate G.I. Joe with the popular toy line and Hollywood franchise launched in the 1980s and 2000s, the name actually dates back to 1942. That year, cartoonist David Breger created a comic strip titled G.I. Joe for Yank, the Army Weekly, a magazine distributed to U.S. military personnel. The character represented the average American soldier, gritty, humorous, and relatable. By 1944-45, the time of the Philippines' liberation, G.I. Joe had become a widely recognized figure among American troops and in the media. Filipino civilians, encountering thousands of uniformed Americans, likely adopted the name Joe as a generic label for any white soldier. Over time, the term expanded to include any white foreigner, regardless of nationality. "Hi, Joe" thus evolved into a greeting of welcome, curiosity, and sometimes mischief. In some cases, even Filipino albinos were jokingly called Joe, a reflection of the era's caustic humor and the tendency to associate whiteness with foreignness. Interestingly, the greeting was rarely extended to black soldiers or white women. There was no equivalent "Hi, Joan" for Caucasian women and no consistent label for non-white foreigners. The term Joe remained specific, tied to the image of the white male soldier, often in uniform. Today, "Hi, Joe" survives more as a nostalgic echo than a living practice. It represents a time when history was not just taught in schools, but lived in everyday encounters. The phrase captures the playful spirit of Filipinos navigating post-war realities, blending humor with cultural adaptation. More than a greeting, "Hi, Joe" is a cultural artifact. It reflects how Filipinos absorbed and reinterpreted foreign influence, turning it into something uniquely local. It's a reminder of how language, memory, and identity can converge in the simplest of phrases. Two words that once carried the weight of liberation, curiosity, and childhood wonder. If you look at it a certain way, it also shows in a humorous way the affection and high regard Filipinos have for Americans. Something that dates back to the Second World War, almost like an unconscious memory of an era long gone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this little piece of history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories. See you in the next video.